With set plays, you are destroying youth basketball. I heard this comment during my training as a coach from a very experienced coach and European champion. Watch this video to find out why he's right and get a complete guide to the basketball 5-out motion offense, which is, in my eyes, a fantastic alternative to common set plays and the best offense for youth teams. I show you all the advantages, but also some weaknesses, the essential rules and principles, and which coaching points are important. Let's get into it. The 5-out motion offense is a fantastic primary offense for basketball teams at any level, but especially for youth basketball teams. Even a lot of NBA teams use the 5-out offense, and I highly recommend teaching the 5-out motion offense to every age group because it's easy and it gives the players enough space to develop their individual skills, to be creative, and to understand the game. So let's get down to the clipboard and see how the 5-out motion offense is set up and what the basic principles are. Then you will have an idea why the 5-out motion offense is the best offense for youth teams. So basically, we have all 5 players outside the 3-point line. We have 1 player at the top, we have 2 players at the free throw line extended at the 2 wing positions, and we have 2 players in the corners at the low wings. So let's see what happens when a pass is made to the player on the wing position. The passer makes a basket cut after the pass and comes out at the corner on the opposite side, if a 1-2 was not possible. Now we have 2 players in the corner and an open spot at the top. It's the job of player number 3 to fill the open spot at the top. Again, we have another open spot at the wing position, which is filled by player number 5 in the corner. Now we are back to our basic setup with all 5 players around the perimeter. Let's see this basic motion in action. This tiny snippet of the 5-out motion offense brings me the 2 main rules, which every player has to keep in mind and which have to be automated. Every time a player makes a pass, he has to move and bring action to the game. We don't want any player to stand still after they have passed the basketball. Later on, we will see that it's also possible to set an on-ball or off-ball screen instead of cutting. However, we want to have movement after a pass. Whenever there's an open spot next to me, I have to fill the position to keep a good spacing. Try to get back to the basic setup whenever it is possible. It is enough to teach these 2 main rules when you begin to teach the 5-out motion offense. They are the most important rules and must be automated by every player, which can take some time. You'll find a link to another video in the description down below where I show you 4 drills to automate these 2 rules and with it the entire 5-out motion offense. So don't forget to check it out. Before we get back to the clipboard, let me give you 2 more rules, which are also important for the 5-out motion offense, but can be taught a bit later, when the players have a basic understanding. Attack the basket whenever possible. So this rule is not restricted only to the 5-out motion offense. Every basketball player should learn from a young age to attack the basket whenever there's a chance. It is more an attitude than a rule. Every player should keep in mind that scoring is the first option. It will happen that our offense will collapse when a shot is missed or someone did not stick to the principles. So the important thing is to get back to our setup around the perimeter so our teammates have enough space to perform the next action. So let's get back to the clipboard. On a wing to corner pass, the passer also basket cuts all the way through the key and fills the opposite corner. Once player 2 has cut and no 1-2 was possible, the players next to an open spot have to fill one after another. On a corner to wing pass, the passer makes an eye cut and comes back to the former position. On a wing to top pass, the passer basket cuts and comes out in the corner on the opposite side of where the basketball has moved. Player 4 fills the open spot, so player 3 and 4 have switched positions. To get an open front cut after a pass, take one slow step away from the basketball and then explode to the other side and look for an easy give and go. Don't forget to backcut when you are overplayed. This can result in a great opportunity for an easy layup. However, it brings movement to the offense. Encourage your players to decide for themselves. Whenever there's a chance for a drive to the basket, a great pass or an open shot, go for it. Your players are always allowed to override the rules when something great can happen. We have more options after a pass beside the basket cut. Once your team is familiar with the principles of passing and cutting, you can proceed to the next options: screens. Player 1 passes the basketball on the wing and decides to set a screen away from the ball on the opposite wing. Player number 3 uses the screen with a front or a back cut to the basket. The screener fills his own spot from where he or she has come from. Player number 3 cuts all the way through the key and fills the corner position on the weak side. Player number 5 has already filled the open spot next to him or her. Instead of curling to the basket, player 3 can pop out to the perimeter for an open shot. In this case, player 3 is the one to fill the top position and the screener makes the basket cut. Again, player 5 fills the open spot on the wing. This variant requires all players to read their teammates and react accordingly, which makes it more advanced. So I recommend it to more experienced teams. Pay attention that the players set the screen at the right position at the right angle. A good timing is also required when using the screen. The third option after a pass from any position is an on-ball screen. A pick and roll can be very effective, especially when shot clock is ticking down. Let's take a look at an example. Player 1 passes the basketball from the top to the wing and sets an on-ball screen. Player 2 drives to the basket and has now the option either to score or to pass to any teammate at the perimeter. If a shot isn't taken immediately, the open spots have to be filled to get back to the original setup and with it to a perfect spacing. A second example is the wing to corner pass with an on-ball screen and connection. Player number 4 uses the screen for a drive to the basket and decides to kick out to the opposite wing. Player 4 now has the option for an on-ball screen, which is a good decision, or can go for an off-ball screen in the corner. That gives player number 5 a good opportunity for a cut to the opposite side. The first screener, player number 2, fills the open spot next to him, which is the position where he came from. It is important for all players to watch out for their teammates' decision. If a player drives to the basket, the other players have to bring themselves into an open position for a shot. Encourage your players to make decisions. There is always more than one solution. You will see that your players will make decisions upon their individual skills. A screen will be set primarily to good dribblers, and good shooters will receive a lot of kick-out passes from their teammates. I believe it is important for a coach to talk to the players about their individual skills and what they need to improve. If our teammates are heavily denied by the defenders, we have at least 3 different options. The option I like best is a back cut. If then a pass in the key is possible, perfect. If not, the cutter finishes the cut at the corner and the former position is filled by the player in the corner. This player now has a way better chance to receive a pass. Another option can be a handoff when the player with the basketball dribbles at the player next to him. The third option is an on-ball screen by the player from the wing position. This can give the player with the basketball some space and can lead to other good opportunities to attack the basket. Before we come to the conclusion, I'd like to share 2 small but advanced variations of this offense. When filling to the top spot, your players can perform an L cut through the nail instead of a V cut. The cutter can now decide to pop out and receive the ball at the top. Or, if the player is overplayed by the defender, he can back cut for an easy layup in the key. If a pass is not possible, he fills the weak side corner. Players with a mismatch or strong inside players should have the opportunity for a post-up play. Instead of cutting all the way through, they can take a post-up position. The outside players have to be aware of a possible inside pass to their teammate. If a pass is not possible within 1 or 2 seconds, the post-up player has to clear his position and finish his cut at the weak side corner. I highly recommend this offense for all youth basketball teams. We have a lot of movement and all 5 players are involved in the offense. All players are required to contribute their skills instead of setting the focus on 1 or 2 players. In today's basketball, it becomes more and more important for the players to develop into well-rounded players. Because the 5-out motion offense is a positionless offense, every player is required to develop the ability to pass, cut, dribble, shoot, and screen. By having appropriate spacing on the court, it opens up driving lanes and offers the players a variety of good decisions and makes it difficult for the defenders to help. Last but not least, it teaches perfectly the game of basketball. It helps your players to read not only the defense, but also their own teammates and act accordingly. Despite all these advantages, we have some drawbacks to the 5-out motion offense. It may struggle against the zone defense. You probably need to make some adjustments to the offense, for example, switching to a 4-out 1-in offense, which is very similar. Because all players are involved equally to the game, the power of your key players, who contribute the most points, is lessened. In combination with the fact that sometimes scoring opportunities in the 5-out motion offense are overlooked, it can be helpful, especially at the end of the game, to have at least one set play in store when the game is close. The good thing is that the basic principles of the 5-out motion offense are quite simple and are easy to learn. But give your players enough time to master everything in detail and to make smart decisions. It is a good idea to proceed stepwise until every player feels comfortable. Don't miss out my other video where I give you 4 effective and game-like drills to teach the 5-out motion offense.